Hello. Welcome back to Literally Literate, the show where I read creepypastas and fanfics. Last week I read a creepypasta called Logical Explanations. You can click the link here and in the description. Go watch that video. Very spoopy. This week I'm reading a fanfiction from fanfiction.net. It's about two characters from the show you may know called Ed, and Eddie. I never watched the show, but I did read this fiction and it sounds pretty good. So this is between two characters. Double D and Kevin. A pretty short and saucy one. I hope you enjoy it. I've got my drink here in my patented WOW cup in case it gets kind of spicy. So this video contains profanity and explicit language, so watch with caution. It is intended for mature audiences. Okay, so without further ado, this is Study Session. I do not own any of the characters depicted in this story. I wrote this on a whim. This is my guilty pleasure ship. Please be gentle with me. When I say Ed, that would be Ed with two D's, for those of you who know that there are two characters named Ed in Ed, and Eddie. Ed didn't know how this started. They were never really friends. Even now, they had not really talked much outside of the tutoring sessions Kevin's coach had forced him into attending. That had been a fight, to get the jock to attend. He didn't want his reputation tarnished if people saw them together. That is why they agreed to have their lessons at Ed's house. At first, Ed had assumed the mild flirtation was all in his head. It was his foolish crush making something out of nothing. But then, while they were discussing the importance of algebra in life, Kevin leaned over the table and kissed him. To say Ed was shocked would have been an understatement. He locked himself in his bathroom for 20 minutes before Kevin coaxed him out with promises that it had not been a bet. That was 2 months ago. After he had come out of the bathroom, they started a tentative relationship. That's how he had found himself spread out on the jock's bed with his shirt off. He wasn't even comfortable taking his shirt off in the locker room in gym class. He had gotten his mother to get a doctor's note so he wouldn't have to participate, but he didn't feel as embarrassed when the redhead sucked a dark spot onto his skin.
Kevin,
Ed groaned.
Don't leave marks, everyone will see.
That's Ed's voice.
Edward.
That's Kevin's voice.
Edward.
Kevin said, looking up at him, his tone in a mimic of Ed's.
How will everyone know that you belong to me if you don't let me leave a mark?
Without letting him answer, Kevin moved lower, stopping to look up again when he met the top of his jeans.
Don't you want everyone to know you're mine?
Ed couldn't breathe when the jock unbuttoned his jeans, sliding down the zipper.
Leaving those kinds of marks can be seen as unsavory. What will people think when I'm walking around with hickeys all over my neck?
His words came out in a jumbled mess between moans.
Kevin, what are you doing?
He lost his train of thought when the larger teen freed his erection and took the head into his mouth. The only answer that Kevin gave was a moan before taking the full length of Ed's cock in his mouth. This was the furthest they had ever gone. Up until this moment, the most that had ever been done was some heavy makeout sessions and dry humping between study sessions. It seems that the jock was going to make good on the promise of making Ed breathless and needy. Those were the only words that could describe him at the moment. He'd always thought that acts like this were extremely unsanitary. He had resigned himself to never wanting to partake. But the feel of Kevin's mouth and the things he was doing with his tongue, ... He could see now why the other boys at school liked this act best. And from the sounds Kevin was making, he didn't mind performing the act either. He suddenly felt heat building in the pit of his stomach.
Kevin!
He gripped the jock's hair, trying to pull his face away, lest he ejaculated in his mouth. ... But it was too late. Ed came with the shout, his legs shaking.
I'm so sorry,
he apologized when he caught his breath again. Kevin just laughed, shaking his head as he moved up next to Ed on the bed.
Don't apologize.
He kissed Ed on the forehead.
If I hadn't wanted you to come in my mouth, I wouldn't have let it happen. Besides, you make the cutest noises when you're in distress. I'll do it all over again just for that.
Kevin pulled Ed to his side. The smaller teen snuggled up, feeling his eyes grow heavy.
Why don't you go to sleep? You can explain to me all the ways this was unsanitary in the morning after we do it again.
Ed had no energy to fight him, and the promise of a repeat performance did sound nice. Who would worry about what this meant to their relationship later? ... Maybe Monday, after school, when they had done this a few more times. Ed dozed off with a smile on his face, and Kevin's arm wrapped around his waist. So that was Study Session by LampPostInWinter on fanfiction.net. Like I said, that was for mature audiences, so if you listened to that, I'm so sorry. So thank you for watching Literally Literate. This is our Wednesday video. You can see this every Wednesday, every week from now. And next week I should be reading another creepypasta. So you can click here to go and watch that one once it's out, and you can click here to go and watch the one from last week. Thanks again so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment, please, and I would love it if you could subscribe. So thanks so much, and I will catch you later.